Hello everyone, this is Donna, and this is chapter 4 of Endgame. Now, Omed talks about things past. He calls this the remembrance of things past. And he remembers the Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebration and the trooping of the colors. And he said he was reminded that this was the kind of showpiece moment that the royal family did so well during the Queen's reign. He compares the Queen's reign to Charles's reign. And he talks about how the Queen and Philip repeatedly demonstrated that they understood the importance of marketing and that she could effectively administer above her position the fray that was beneath her. And he talks about how the Queen protected her image, and by extension, she protected the monarchy. He argues that her reign often masks Britain's relative decline. He says he's not saying that the Queen is perfect, but he starts talking about Brexit and the things that Brexit has done, how it has separated England from the greater world. And he talks about how the Queen maintained the British image, but it's a glamour of backwardness and contrived timelessness. And what he's moving to say is that the royal family glorifies a bygone aristocratic way, and that Charles needs to move into the future, that basically he hasn't been able to do this. He says when it comes to capitalizing on nostalgia and the feelings that go with it, the royal institution often uses blueprints that history have left by the gates walls or palace walls. And he talks about that the Queen managed to conjure up an semblance of national myths, stereotypes, and cultural touchstones. And this picture before you is an example. We were all excited about this picture, and the Queen had a few words in the article. And this is what he's talking about, how the Queen's presence, a photo op, a message, a parade, a moment on the balcony, just brought everyone back together again. And it had a kind of patriotism, okay? And that this is something that the royal family can't continue to do as it stands today. One, because the Queen is gone. Okay. He even talks something about, writes something about Prince Harry. He says, Prince Harry found purpose in serving his country in the military, an unquestionable, honorable thing to do, but it's worth mentioning that his time in uniform also gave his bad boy tabloid image a much needed for the mother country makeover. Now that is something I had never heard before, that someone is saying that even Prince Harry's time in the military, he's cynical even about Prince Harry's time in the military. And he says other things in here. He says that the reliance on grandstanding kept the monarchy in the papers and front of mind, even if their patriotic swagger and homages to Merry England started to grow increasingly wearisome and transparent. As the Queen aged out of the spotlight and family fighting took its place. So he's very cynical here, but he's also telling a truth that we know about. He says that Charles doesn't have the gravitas which is understandable given he spent the majority of his life in the wake of a grand class cruise ship of his mother's reputation. And he says that that the position of the royal family has dropped from 68% to 54% within 4 months of the Queen's death, and that's their their popularity. So he in 4, he's basically telling them that they're going to have to update. He says that during their time as working royals, Harry and Meghan, as individuals and as a couple, put a new coat of paint on the House of Windsor. And he says William and Kate still have some vitality to offer, but many of their overtures are rather stiff. He said even an attempt at a YouTube channel didn't really do that well, because every day their videos had no more than 25,000 looks or 25,000 views. So he is telling a truth, okay? We do know that the royal family are going to have to move into the future. And this is what chapter 4 is about. Chapter 4 is about saying that the old ways of doing things within the royal family isn't going to work anymore. The Queen and Philip shored that up. Okay, and we know that this is true. Okay, but that England now is a more diverse, more modern, more inclusive, okay, more racially inclusive, and that the young people and even people above them are more interested in moving into the future. They live in a modern world, and the royal family does not live in a modern world. I have to say that 4 is probably the most cynical, but he is telling the truth. And I can understand why people are upset about this book. 4 is harsher, I think, but the reality is it's a truth. It is true. The royal family is going to have to move into the future. They're left behind. Basically, that is what Omed is saying. The royal family is stale and behind in the times and outdated.